Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Say what? Say what? Say what? One more time.
We kick things off with our signature segment, Say What, where we roll out an assembly line of wacky, astonishing, damnable, and ultimately revealing things uttered by politicians and the chattering class. The new president held his first press conference after more than 2 months in office and focused on his growing passion for removing the Senate filibuster, his disdain for Republicans opposed to ever more liberal voting laws, what he plans to do about China, not much. And of course, the thorn in his side, the border crisis, which began just as he took office following his promises as a candidate to rid the country of Trump's tough policies at the border, but for which he somehow found a way to blame Trump.
The way to deal with this problem, and I started to deal with it back when I was United States Vice President, putting together a bipartisan plan of over $700 million to do the root causes of why people are leaving. What did Trump do? He eliminated that funding. And in addition to that, what he did, he dismantled all the elements that exist to deal with what had been a problem and has been continued to be a problem for a long time. He, in fact, shut down the number of beds available.
It's fair to say that many Americans are critical of Donald Trump, but very few of them are upset that he wasn't effective in controlling the border. But hey, blame Trump for the border crisis, which you created, and take credit for the vaccines, which Trump sped along to full development. That's politics. Meanwhile, it's happening again, just as it has for these many years. A crazed gunman murders 8 people in Atlanta. Another mows down 10 innocents in Boulder, Colorado. And the left uses the tragedies as another fresh opportunity to play on the emotions of the American people by pushing for stricter gun laws. None of which, like in every other tragedy like this, would have saved the victims because the perpetrators were criminals, which means they, by definition, do not obey the law. But President Biden began the gun-grabbing chorus this time with a TV speech followed by his dutiful Vice President Harris on an interview on CBS.
The Senate should immediately pass. Let me say it again. The United States Senate, I hope some are listening, should immediately pass the 2 House-passed bills that close loopholes in the background check system.
It is time for Congress to act and stop with the false choices. This is not about getting rid of the Second Amendment. It's simply about saying we need reasonable gun safety laws. There's no reason why we have assault weapons on the streets of a civil society. They are weapons of war. They are designed to kill a lot of people quickly.
Yeah, as quickly as the left used raw emotion to exploit these tragedies as an excuse to remove more guns from the hands of innocent gun owners. We'll discuss how fundamental truth about guns can be captured in slogans, yes, in 10 words or less, a bit later in the show. But the Senate dutifully began another debate about gun control this week, and the man now apparently anointed to provide the daily entertainment in the swamp with Trump gone placed the entire argument in context, provoking cheers from the right and fury from the left. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana.
We have a lot of drunk drivers in America that kill a lot of people. But I think what many folks on my side of the aisle are saying is that the answer is not to get rid of all sober drivers. The answer is to concentrate on the problem. We have had a problem in this world for some time with both domestic and international terrorism. Many terrorists happen to be Muslims. When a Muslim jihadist blows up a school full of school children, we are often told not to condemn all of the actions of those of the Muslim faith because of the actions of a few. So why doesn't the same rule apply to the 100 million plus gun owners in America who are exercising their constitutional right?
Have we as a society reached the point where the uncomplicated, homespun, and irrefutable logic of this lovable, quotable teddy bear from the bayou can be dismissed as merely another manifestation of America's white privilege and endemic racism? Apparently so, because the far left, Trump-crazed, gun-crazed media took the opportunity to go one entirely predictable step further, going ballistic after Jay Baker, sheriff of Cherokee County, investigating the Atlanta spa shootings, which left 4 women of Asian descent dead, gave a head-spinning explanation of the shooter Robert Aaron Long's motive.
This is still early, but he does claim that it was not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate. He was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
A really bad day for him? Well, that set the far-left guy known as Capehart on MSNBC loose on a rampage centered around, well, who else?
Discrimination and violence against Asian Americans have skyrocketed, thanks in part to Donald Trump and others who described the coronavirus pandemic in racist terms. This is scapegoating at its worst. But let's be honest. Scapegoating is as American as apple pie. And because there's almost always a racial or ethnic dynamic to it in our country, scapegoating is the evil cousin of white supremacy. And together, they reinforce the notion that white is always in the right.
Quick question for you. How many people do you know, or have you even met, who actually hate someone or love someone because of the color of their skin? But in America circa 2021, we're being told we're all racists. It's just that some of us don't realize it. Racism is a condition of the heart, which, as best I can tell, is possessed by people of all races. But it's hard to deny any longer that we live in a society increasingly given over to this type of race consciousness, what's called wokeness, which best I can surmise means agreeing to blame everything ultimately on white people and believing every scripture of the extreme left. In recent weeks, we presented a psychologist and author, Gad Saad, G-A-D-S-A-A-D, and his top 20 reasons that society is heading to what he calls the abyss of ultimate lunacy. We've covered reasons 1 to 10. Today, we offer up numbers 11 through 15.
11. It is now racist to promote the ethos of individual dignity over collectivist identity politics. 12. It is now racist to criticize a noble person of color, be it a famous athlete or celebrity. 13. It is now transphobic to posit that only women menstruate. 14. It is now racist to publicly proclaim your support for, quote, wrong-think black individuals such as Thomas Sowell or Larry Elder. 15. It is now misogynistic to note that women greatly outnumbered men in universities.
In other words, facts no longer matter. As evidenced in the clip we played last week of Mr. Saad, of his reason number 10, it is now racist to argue that mathematics yields right and wrong answers, because it might damage our self-esteem, already so devastated from either the guilt of our whiteness or the victimhood of our non-whiteness. But let's close things up for Say What with something said by Donald Trump's Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, on Fox News this week, that you will find either fun, fantastical, or frightening.
Can you tell us, have unidentified flying objects been seen?
We have lots of reports about what we call unidentified aerial phenomena. There are a lot more sightings than have been made public. Some of those have been declassified. When we talk about sightings, we're talking about objects that have been seen by Navy or Air Force pilots or have been picked up by satellite imagery that frankly engage in actions that are difficult to explain, that movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for, or traveling at speeds that exceed the sound barrier without a sonic boom. So in short, things that we are observing that are difficult to explain.
Again, that's not some wild conspiracy theorist. It's the immediate past director of national intelligence, John Ratcliffe. It seems the Defense Department has been studying these sightings for years and will issue a report by June 1st, seeking more money to discern whether or not we are being visited by objects or beings from other realms.
Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Mark Angelides, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Scott Cosenza, and this is Liberty Nation.
Now let's take a look at the LibertyNation.com electoral leaderboard. It's still 238 for Joe Biden.
What if stories and legends can offer us the key to unraveling the hottest political issues of the day and apply their lessons to understanding the chaos of modern politics?
Impeach 45!
Only where freedom of speech is honored can people who look, sound, or think differently be truly free.
If you're discussing something that's difficult, the probability that you're not going to offend each other is zero.
President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald J. Trump is now president.
With one click, Liberty Nation delivers tomorrow's news.
And remember, liberty.
Today.
All the time and everywhere.
LibertyNation.com.